Thank you for joining us here today for the webinar. Today's webinar is focused on Russian equity and ETFs. So how can you uh, invest in ETF through the Russian equity account of RDA? हमारे साथ आज here we have with us Dr. Kaisar Anis. We have Amir Mushtaq from Pakistan Stock Exchange, and we have Mubashir Zuberi from Mahaana Wealth Management. So we'll be talking about uh, different ways of how you can access the Pakistan Stock Exchange and then ETFs through the PSX platform. But before anything, I would like to welcome and give the opening note to Dr. Kaisar Anis, who is the driving force behind today's webinar, and Pakistan Business Professional Council (PBPC) of Abu Dhabi has been our partner in bringing these webinars to all of you. Dr. Kaisar Anis is the founding president of Pakistan Business Professional Council Abu Dhabi from 2004 to 2008. He is currently the president, which actively works with Abu Dhabi Chamber of Commerce and Industry and other Abu Dhabi government offices. He's actively promoting the Roshan digital account since it launched, and he is also interacting with the Dubai Abu Dhabi business community, bridging the I would say the Pakistan business community and the Abu Dhabi business community with the Pakistan chambers, also Pakistan government, for the benefit of overseas Pakistanis. So over to you, Dr. Kaisar.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and thank you very much, Madam Raida Latif, for introducing me. And you rightly said that the council is working since 2020, if I remember, and we are nearly completing 4 years, and we are working hand to hand with Pakistan Stock Exchange. But the history doesn't stay from there. The council has a credit that we have arranged an agreement with Pakistan Stock Exchange and ADEX also. And we have arranged an agreement between DFM, Dubai Financial Market, and Pakistan Stock Exchange, and CDC, and your ADEX also, about both DFM. So council active working, and also, as you rightly said, we want to promote more, and I would like, this is a service to the overseas Pakistanis who are not much aware about the benefit and of how much benefit they can derive from Russian digital account and from Pakistan Stock Exchange. So just this is my beginning line. I welcome Mr. Amir Mushtaq, Kanju Saab, Deputy General Manager, which is Product Management and Research of PSX, very important position, and Mr. Mubashir Zuberi, Chief Investment Officer of Mahaana Wealth, if I'm right. So all you're welcome, and I'm sure at the end of this webinar, the listener and whoever listen to this, they get benefit out of this. The purpose of this, to explain what is ETF. So ETF is most better than many things, but just to, in the beginning, we want to explore into the world of ETF, unveiling the possibility and advantages they offer for investment portfolio, especially designed for overseas Pakistanis. And the aim is to provide with valuable insights, strategies to maximize our financial growth, contribute to the development of our home country while living abroad. How to repatriate your capital profit and dividend in US dollar and other currency, and also your investment by Sharia. It means you invest and you are taking thing in dollar. You do not cry for that the money which you have invested is been reduced because of the exchange loss, but the way stock exchange is trading, you should all get benefit out of that, from 42,000 to 72,000. Imagine in 8-9 months, imagine how much opportunity been lost who have not been involved in this. And all because of unawareness. For your information, PSX companies are giving the highest return of investment in the world. Nowhere. Even Russian digital account giving a very highest rate in US dollar. Who gives that much rent? And this is a very big benefit to overseas Pakistani from Pakistan. So what is exchange traded fund? Just for the overseas Pakistani, this is the ETF, it's called ETF, allows overseas Pakistani to invest in diversified portfolio of assets, reducing the risk associated with investing in single company. So you will do in different sector or in single sector. You can go on one sector, so you enjoy the profit for everyone or enjoy in one sector. Accessibility, ETF are traded on stock exchange, making them easily accessible to overseas Pakistani who can buy and sell the shares through brokerage. So it is one click and you can make the transaction of supposing one ETF with 10 different sectors or one ETF with one sector. You choose. That's the beauty of ETF. Flexibility of ETF can be bought or sold throughout the trading in market price, offering flexibility to overseas Pakistan who may need to have their investment position quickly. We cannot do if you have many, you can put money in one ETF and you can enjoy all the time the money. Either you want to have a capital return or you want to have a monthly return. Transparency, ETF disclose their holdings on a daily basis, providing transparency to investor about the underlying asset. So it's very nice. The only thing, I think we have all experts sitting here. They can explain to you difference between ETF and stock. I will request you all during your address how the mutual fund is different on this and the Sharia compliant, because people would like to know on what are these. I don't want to explain. You are experts. You can explain and convince them that these are the things. But before you involve in the ETF, you must see that there's own risk and return investment objective. You must see that point. Investment objective, strategy of the ETF. You have to draw your strategy. Information on the index that the ETF is tracking out, and fees and charges all to be seen when you invest. And information on the management, how the company are managing it, how efficient are their ETF. I think there are 9 in my knowledge, and mostly it is backed by the banks, Habib Bank, National Bank of Pakistan, UBL, Mizan Bank. So all are well supported, in my opinion, and they are good stuff, and you are safe. You can sleep peacefully with ETF. You don't cry that this share has gone down or up. There's a compensation on that. With that, I should thank Dr. Shamshad Akhtar Sahaba, chairperson, and Mr. Farooq Khan, CEO. I have a lot of interaction with them, mashallah, and they are all very, very under PSX in a good hand. I must say, in all the years, PSX is in a very good hand with a good management. This webinar series in line with promoting Russian digital account, which we always do. Imagine that 160 countries or 180 countries Pakistanis are living and they are investing it, and State Bank of Pakistan, extraordinary initiative on this, which has been benefit for all overseas Pakistani. I have circulated to my European partner also. Hopefully they are there, Mr. Nadeem Shahid from Austria and many more. And for Pakistan Business Council, already Madam Raida has introduced to us. Pakistan Business Council always there to support. Thank you so much. We would like to look for you all to address and to explain more. And I would like more overseas Pakistani to open account ETF and enjoy the facility of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kaisar, for such a detailed introduction and the confidence that you repose with us. I will begin with today's session. We will cover Sharia compliant ETF, because that is the concern for most Pakistanis that we've received, that their interest is more into Sharia compliant instruments. Hence, we've invited Mubashir Zuberi. They have a Sharia compliant ETF within Mahaana Wealth. I will begin today's session with a quick briefing of how non-resident Pakistanis can open the Roshan equity account, how it runs, and thereon we will have Amir Kanju who will brief on how the ETF is structured overall, what are the benefits, and then we'll move to the specific ETF of Mahaana Wealth, which is the Sharia compliant ETF. So I'll begin my presentation with, okay, I'll just put on my screen and share. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
The PowerPoint slides?
Yeah, it lost now.
Oh, just a minute. I'll take a second to come put it up again. Okay. Is it visible now?
Yes.
Okay. So, okay, being Pakistanis and living abroad, this is something that we've encountered. Whoever's from Pakistan, there is always a link that Pakistanis continue. They keep investing in Pakistan either through property, through other investments, through asset classes. They keep some money back home. It could be for any backup emergency. It could be a plan to visit and settle back at any point in time. It can also be your love and patriotism that you need to stay connected to the motherland. So we've noticed that Pakistanis, despite living years and years and decades, they're still connected. And a big example is Dr. Kaisar. Living in the UAE, he's still connected with Pakistan and its prosperity. Up until now, before Roshan Digital and Roshan Equity account had been introduced, Pakistanis were investing and still had bank accounts. However, they used to find it very difficult. So, with the introduction of Roshan Digital account, now it's possible for them to not worry about the what do you call, the digital, the biometric, the dormancy, nothing. All those problems are behind us now. So another aspect of investments where the stock exchange comes in now within RDA, they can um, access the stock exchange through the Roshan Equity Investment Account. This is available within the Roshan Digital Account dashboard only. So when an non-resident Pakistani opens a Roshan Digital account with any of the 12 banks, they can access within their dashboard, they can open a brokerage account also, that is the Roshan equity account. A little about the stock exchange. The stock exchange has Securities and Exchange Commission as the apex regulator. Then the stock exchange itself offers the market. We have international level CDC, which is a depository company, and we have clearing and settlement. This kind of infrastructure is available in the international world, in the developed countries. The capital market intermediaries are the way to access the stock exchange. You could do it through the AMCs or through the brokerages. For Roshan equity account, you can do it. You can access the stock exchange through the Roshan equity account and brokerages, whichever is your chosen broker. We have about 523 listed companies, and we have three gem board companies also. Out of all these, there are 258 companies which are Sharia compliant, which means that these companies conduct their business activities according to the rules and regulations of Sharia. And these companies are also regularly vetted by the Sharia scholars of Mizan Bank. which are also on the stock exchange panel. There are over 318,000 direct investors. There are 192 active brokers, 17 indices, and 9 ETFs that can be accessed on the stock exchange. Within the shares and the market, you have about 36 sectors to choose from. So it is ideal that you make a portfolio, you look at various sectors and diversify your portfolio. And within each sector, we have multiple companies. As Dr. Saab also mentioned, that the Pakistan market is right now quite attractive. It has risen to about 74,000. The KC 100 index is at 74,600 plus, and it has performed extremely well in the last couple of months, in fact, July onwards. And due to that, we have also seen a lot of foreign investment inflows into the country. I mean, if I take a look from July till, let's say, May 10th, about $130 million have come into the market, have been invested into the market at a net number. The reasons for this would be the price to earning ratio. If you look at the stock exchange in Pakistan, the scrips or the companies that are listed on the stock exchange, the price of these companies as compared to their earning potential, they're at a very low price, which is a good indication that these are good stocks to select from. And if you look at the regional other country exchanges and you look at the PE ratios, you see India's is the most high, which means India's stocks are quite expensive. Similarly, Malaysia, Thailand, we're looking at the entire regional landscape. Another aspect to look into when you're investing into the stock exchange in Pakistan is that companies that are listed on the stock exchange offer high dividend yields. This particular number or the graph represents the returns that companies have offered on the KSE 100 index which is inclusive of the dividend that they've given over the last couple of months as of 30th of April. When we look at that, we compare other regional players. Again, the stock exchange in Pakistan has offered a very high dividend yield. By far, I think the highest. What do you do after you open a Roshan equity account? You have an option to invest in Sukuks. From December of 2023, Sukuks are being offered in primary market as well as secondary market. So you can actually participate in the auction through your brokerage account. You can participate in IPOs that are coming up on the stock exchange. You can invest in ETFs and you can invest in the normal or regular market, any stocks that are available. These are all the ETFs from NIT, UBL, National Bank, JS, Al-Falah, JS Global. In the Islamic realm, we have Al-Mizan and Mahaana. And in the debt ETF, there is HBL. Each ETF has a certain number of constituents. So Mahaana ETF here will actually, Mubashir will give you more details, but it has about 30 constituents in it. A quick this thing, how to open your investment account through Roshan digital account. Within your RDA dashboard, you will see an option so you have to choose that invest in stock market from your bank's portal. You say provide consent. You need to click on the on a button that you provide your consent for the bank to share your information with the brokerage firm where you want to open your account. You click I agree to do that. You select your broker and you will and the information goes through. Later, you will deposit money into your brokerage account trading app, which is provided by the brokerage house to you. So once your information goes to the brokerage account, brokerage house, you will basically you will, at the back end, what happens is that the CDC company takes all these steps. They initiate the trading of your account, the account, trading account opening. They initiate creating your unique identification number and your custody account. So once you've clicked submit at the back end, these three steps will be taking place, which of course you're not aware of, but it happens in the background. If in case the broker wants more information, they might reach out to you. After you do that, you will be notified that your account is open. This is your unique identity number, and then you will be able to deposit funds into your REI, that is Russian Equity account. At the back end, there is CDC, which is your custodial. So the bank will transmit all the data to CDC. CDC is responsible for all matters, clearing, settlement, custody, and ensuring that any trade that you make is settled and the money comes into your account, or the shares are visible in your account. As soon as CDC receives this information, it will initiate the process and notify you accordingly. They'll also be responsible for dealing directly with your broker. So they are providing you the security, the custodial services to ensure all the transactions that you make are safe, secure, and your money is lying with the CDC at the back end. Any buy and sell transactions, all you need to do is initiate the first purchase request, choose your once you transfer the money into your Russian digital account into your Russian equity account, you inform CDC this has been done through the app or the portal. You make the trade, and then you can just with the click of a button opt for trading. At the back end, the purchase transaction is executed by CDC. You will, at the settlement date, that is the date of the trade, +2, CDC will inform you or notify you regarding the completion of your settlement process. Similarly, the sell transaction also takes place like that. You will initiate the sell transaction on your CDC portal. You will sell it on the trading on the brokerage portal app that is provided to you. CDC will transfer the cash to the individual on the RDA once your sale is done after T+2. The same process will be followed for all transactions. So buy and sell, and the money will upon selling, the money will finally reside in your RDA bank account. So enough from on the process side. I will now hand over to Amir to take over from here and explain to you the benefits, the ETFs, how it works, how the process of investing in ETFs also works. So over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Raida. A very enlightening presentation. So let me share my presentation with the participants. So is it visible now?
Yes, it is visible.
Thank you. So before I dive into the product that Pakistan Stock Exchange has developed in the form of exchange traded fund, I would like to have some discussion on the international side as well. Basically, the ETF product, the idea of the product was developed by the Canadian market back in 1990s when they developed a unit trust that replicates the performance of 35 companies within an index. This idea came into the US market in 1993, where State Street Global, a famous US fund manager, developed a similar ETF structure based on S&P 500 indices. As of now, there are almost 51 countries that are offering ETFs, and in total, there are around more than 10,000 ETFs in the global market. In terms of assets under management, as of 2024 forecast, it is estimated to be around 14 billion US dollars among 8 different categories of ETFs. And out of that 14 trillion, around 90% of the global ETF assets under management belongs to United States, Ireland, Japan, Luxembourg, Canada, and China. So these are basically the major international markets where demand of ETF is very popular. Um, in terms of growth in assets under management is concerned, so as the chart displays, in 2018, 2008, we have around zero point 0.7 billion US dollars under the ETF fund management. But as of 2024, this fund size has increased to somewhere around 14 trillion US dollar. So this shows how popular the ETF product is in the international market. And in terms of ETFs, number of ETFs, as of 2008, there were around 1,600 ETFs in the global market. However, as of 2023, there are around 10,000 plus ETFs available in the global market. This again shows the popularity of this asset class product in the international market. In terms of uh, types or categories of ETF, we have equity ETF, we have currency-based ETF, fixed income ETF, asset allocation, alternative asset class, and commodity asset class in the global investment area. So out of these, the popular ETF is based on ETF asset classes, because as you can see that from 10,000 plus ETFs, we have around 8,000 plus ETFs in equity asset class. So equity is basically a popular ETF asset class. In terms of local market, we have equity funds, we have fixed income ETF funds, and we are working to develop on some of the commodity ETFs as well. In local equity side, there could be an ETF, which are free flows based equity ETF. For instance, large cap companies are part of that ETF fund. We can also have Sharia based free float capitalization. We also can develop a sector based ETF. We can also develop a fundamental strategy, for instance, dividend based ETF. We can also develop a small cap ETF. On fixed income side, a T-bill and bond, and on commodity side, gold, precious metal, and energy. As of now, the ETFs that are available at PSX is free float capitalization, Sharia free float capitalization, sector based, and from fixed income side, we have T-bill based equity ETF. Rest of the asset classes, we are working with local fund managers and brokerage houses to work on new asset classes as well. So far we have listed 9 ETFs, UBL Pakistan Enterprise ETF that tracks 9 companies from the KSE 100 index, excluding the oil and gas sector. NIT ETF that represents a broad market capitalization of our market. Mizan ETF that represents Islamic ETF. Again, then we have a National Bank Pakistan Growth ETF that represents again the broader market ETF. We also have a JS Momentum Factor ETF that replicates the best performing stocks in the previous month. We also have an Alpha Consumer ETF. It's basically a sectoral index. Then we have an ETF, HPL Total Treasury ETF, which is fixed income conventional government debt ETF. We also have a JS Global ETF, which is basically a sector-specific ETF that tracks the banking sector. Then we also have a Mahaana Islamic ETF, which is a Sharia-compliant ETF, second in our Sharia ETF products. And it tracks a broader underlying constituent stocks than what Mizan offers. In terms of local AUMs, we started the ETF listing from 2020 during the COVID times, where we listed 4 ETFs. At that time, assets under management in our local market was somewhere around 86 million. As of now, it's around 1 billion, although it's still a small size as compared to the mutual fund industry, but it still shows how the demand is growing, and we still have to work much harder to increase the ETF product to the local market as well. In terms of ETF returns, which also mentioned in by the Kaisar Saab in his speech, in terms of ETF, we have, as I just discussed, that we have different strategies available. As we can review the indices that ETF tracks, then as of 1 year return, we have a JS Momentum ETF that provides more than 100% return on a cumulative basis in 1 year. We also have Alphala, which offers 68% return, then Mezzan 76, and similarly the other indices as well. And as you can see, most of them outperform the KSE 100 index and KMI 30 index. Just to highlight here is that the indices that ETF has to track. Since PSX is a infrastructure platforms that provide access institutional investors as well as those traders, so we might not be in a better position to assess which funds have performed or outperformed the index and which funds have underperformed the index. But here is a disclaimer that whenever you have to decide fund, then you have to not only review the index performance, but also have to review the fund's performance against the index as well. So as I just briefly discussed about the products that we have, then let's also delve much deeper into what ETFs are. ETF is basically a product that is offered usually by asset management companies, or currently CCP also allowed some of the brokerage houses to offer exchange traded funds to markets as well. Exchange traded fund is basically an investment fund that is divided into equal number of units, and it basically tracks an index, and it's basically a passive fund where you only have to track an index by whatever the constituent that index has as its constituents. It is a product that is listed on PSX. If I compare ETF from what mutual fund is, so technically mutual fund could be an active fund as well. As far as PSX and local market regulations are concerned, ETFs could only be a passive fund. It means that it can track only a index. Second difference with the mutual fund is that mutual funds are not formally listed on PSX, although they are technically listed. But ETF is listed just like a stock on PSX. It is also traded on PSX platform. Unlike mutual fund where you have to go to a fund manager and buy a fund, if you don't like that fund manager, you have to make a redemption, put that fund out and go back to some another fund managers and invest there. Here at Pakistan Stock Exchange, you have a same platform which Ms. Raida has just explained to you, where you can buy ETFs just like a stock. In case you don't like an fund manager's ETF, then you can sell that and buy another fund's ETF. In case you want to sell an ETF and buy a share, you can do all these transactions on the same screen. Similarly, if you want to buy income exposure, you don't have to go anywhere, but we have an HPL Treasury ETF as well, which tracks the fixed income T-bill instruments. So all these transactions are done on a same platform. You don't have to go anywhere. You just have to open a one account and more accounts with multiple mutual funds. Here are the key participants that are involved in the establishment of an exchange traded fund. We're asset management company. We also have a stock exchange, market maker, trustee, index provider, national clearing company of Pakistan, and authorized participants. Basically, asset management company is the main owner of the product, which develops the investment strategy. As I just explained, we have 9 ETF, and each ETF have a different strategy. It has to structure the ETF. It has to develop its set its price, base price, par value, which we can say creation size. It also has to do all the formal and contractual arrangement here. It also has to sort some approvals from SCCP as well. It also manages the fund in case, although the fund is just a passive fund, it tracks the index, but there are some events that occur based on the index. For instance, there is a rebalancing in the index, and fund manager also have to done portfolio rebalancing. There might be some corporate actions that also trigger some fund management at ETF side as well. AMC also has to appoint an authorized participants and also has to endorse a market maker. So who is an authorized participant? Authorized participant could be a track holder or some other company. It has an agreement with AMC and it facilitates in the in-kind creation and redemption of fund in the PSX market through asset management company. Because a retail investor can only buy and sell ETF from the PSX platform. So any buying and selling from the AMC is done by and then it has to be sold out to the secondary market in PSX. Market maker, it's generally the same role. It has to provide a liquidity in the market. It has to provide a continuous bid and offer, and it has to ensure its availability for a certain period of time. Uh, Market makers have an agreement with PSX, and because of that, they are obligated to remain on the screen and also quote bid and ask a spread as well. So here is a primary market buying and selling and secondary market buying and selling process flow. As you can see that buyers and sellers come to PSX where market makers are available to provide them a counter offer. And those delivery or inventory are basically arranged by the ETF fund manager through in-kind creation and redemptions. So all activities from AMC is done by market maker and AP. However, buying and selling of the retail clients or individual investors are done on PSX platform, just like a stock. So as far as benefits are concerned, basically ETF provides a transparency. It provides a full disclosure of ETF components and the index. Unlike mutual funds, where the full and complete disclosures are provided in quarterly reports. However, monthly fund manager reports just only show the top holdings of the uh, portfolio. But in case of ETF, all disclosures are available on PSX and even the fund manager's website. It also indicates, it also provides the INAV price. INAV is basically the real-time price of the basket which ETF is constitute of. So whenever you are going to buy and viewing the screen of an ETF, you can also see their INAV display, which indicates that whatever the basket you are currently interested to buy or sell is actually what INAV says. So INAV is just a indicative price of the um, portfolio. However, actual buying and selling is done on is quoted by the market maker. It also offers some flexibility because, as I just mentioned, you don't have to go to each fund manager and open separate accounts there. You only have to open a RDA account through any broker and buy and sell all available ETFs of different fund managers, and even can move from ETF to equity side or fixed income side as well. In terms of cost, generally investing in ETF is considered as a low cost opportunity. Whatever the cost is, it's just a buying and selling commissions that you have to pay to the brokers. There is no front end charges or back end load, unlike mutual fund industry. Um, Being a passive investment strategies, it also have a lower fund management fee as compared to active funds, mutual funds that are available in our industry. Generally, fund management fee is low. There is only a trading fee that you have to pay to the brokerage commission. In terms of diversification, unlike a stock where you buy a particular stock, you are exposed to a risk of a particular company. But when you buy an ETF, you buy a pool of equity stocks. So it provides a diversification benefits to uh, layman investors, to general public who are not very savvy in selecting portfolio of stocks. In terms of disclosures, if you go to our DTS website and select any ETF, I have just selected a Mahaana Islamic ETF, where you can see the INF price, that is the price, indicative price of the basket that is available to you as an idea of how much this ETF should have worth. And you can also see here basket the basket of the portfolio basket this ETF fund invest in. So in case of Mahaana, we have somewhere around 30 underlying stocks uh, which are Sharia compliant and can be taken exposure by just buying a Mahaana Islamic ETF. In terms of pricing, there are two different prices, as I just mentioned. One is a reference price, which we can say as a NAV or INAV. And it is a price more relevant to AP and ETF fund manager, and it represents the value of portfolio. However, the actual buying and selling is done based on the traded price, and it is more reflected in terms of bid and ask that is quoted by the fund manager. Uh, we also offer ETF futures on some of the ETF as well. So ETF futures basically provides you an added benefit by not buying the whole, um, but not tying up the whole investment in fund ETF, but by taking the same exposure on margin amount as well. So that's all from my side, and I would love to have some specific questions from the participants. Thank you from my side.
Thank you, Amir, for such a detailed explanation on ETFs. Now, I would like to request Mubashir Zuberi, CFA. He is an investment officer at Mahaana Wealth. He actually works on how the ETF is structured, what all constituents should be there. He crafts the investment strategies. He has expertise in portfolio management, private equity, and financial modeling. And he has honed through these roles like senior analyst at Tundra Founder. So with that, I would hand over to Mubashir Zuberi to brief our participants on what the Mahaana Wealth ETF brings for them. Mubashir.
Thank you, Raida. Thank you, Dr. Saab, and thank you, Ahmed, for the detailed discussion on ETFs and highlighting a lot about the ETF market. As you clearly mentioned, Ahmed shared a number that the ETF market capitalization is only 1 billion rupees in Pakistan, which is around $3 million compared to a total market capitalization of $35 billion in Pakistan, which is still very negligible when we compare the trends internationally and how the ETF market is growing globally. And there is a move from active investing to passive investing. So with that said, coming to the Mahaana ETF, which we launched, the idea of launching a passive ETF was mainly that the passive investments have performed over the longer run in the last 10, 15 years, or even when we look at a longer period, that is because of the low cost that are associated with the ETF management. The Mahaana Index ETF is an Islamic ETF that has about 30 constituents from 13 sectors. So investor just by buying one ETF can gain exposure to 13 sectors and 30 constituents, which track the broader market. And let's say the investors that want to take exposure to the Pakistani market, instead of managing each stock or a portfolio of stocks individually, they can just trade into the ETF and trade out of the ETF as they feel, because the liquidity is there in the market, respectively. Overall, like Raida shared the details, the price to earning ratio is quite attractive. We are still trading at less than 5 times earnings. The corporate profitability has been great in the last few years, whereas the market did not perform due to the economic turmoil or the political uncertainty. But going forward, as things have settled down, we are on the path to recovery. Going forward, we expect the economic growth and the profitability growth to continue. But because of the investor confidence returning, the equity markets will continue to perform and outperform alternative asset classes or different asset classes, which eventually provide a much better investment avenue to investors to maximize their returns. And one of the key areas where investors can take exposure is through instead of doing active stock booking into, let's say which stock will perform the best out of, 30 stocks or out of 100 stocks, they can take a exposure through the ETFs into the diversified portfolio and gain exposure to the market performance. Raida, would you like to go over the questions now, or do you want me to share more details on the ETF in terms of the selection criteria?
I think
And
a little bit about how yes what makes you choose certain the 30 constituents that are part of it. And one more thing that a lot of people want to understand is that does the ETF fund manager give them separate portfolios? So just explain how the 30 constituents are part of each unit that they purchase, and what would be the minimum amount, how they can enter. So just do those things, and then I'll start reading out the questions.
okay, so basically, whenever an investor buys into an ETF, so the market maker is based the index that is formed, the stocks that are formed in the ETF. That's say, let's say 30 constituents. They they are basically sorted based on the free float capitalization of the Islamic index and based on the average traded liquidity. So all the 30 stocks that are part of the ETF are the top or the larger 30 stocks in the Islamic index that are listed, and they have a certain amount of liquidity that has been traded in the last 6 months. The ETF rebalances every 3 months and it reconstitutes every 6 months. So every 6 months, we might see some changes to the index or to the ETF index taking place based on, let's say, performance and underperformance of some constituents, because of which they might get excluded, or let's say their market capitalization comes down. So this is more like an automated criteria where the asset manager does not have a bias, let's say, in the stock selection. So the investors can be rest assured that the 30 top companies in the index fall into their portfolio. Whenever they buy, the investor buys into an ETF, let's say the minimum lot size is 500 shares for an ETF for a new unit creation. The the market maker will at the time of creation of the unit, or at the time the market maker sells the stock to the investor, the maker will, on the contrary, buy the underlying portfolio holdings, let's say the 30 stock. So for each stock or the each investor, let's say for 500 share, a certain number of OGDC come in, a certain number of Mizan Bank shares are held, and a certain number of, let's say, Lucky Cement shares are held. The market maker will simultaneously, whenever an investor buys the ETF, the market maker simultaneously buys the underlying constituents, so they are held with the CDC against the investors' units. Um, how we Another important angle is the Sharia compliance of the ETF, because this is the only second Sharia compliant ETF and the only broader index ETF available in the market. So the first check in the Sharia compliance is, of course, that the stocks that are part of the Mahaana Islamic Index ETF are part of the KMI All Index, which is jointly managed by the stock exchange and the Al Mizan Investments. And based on the inclusion in the KMI All, which is the Islamic Index, we also have an independent Sharia advisor who oversees the Sharia compliance of the fund and the ongoing operational procedure to ensure that no Sharia compliance breach is seen. In terms of the cost, I would say, like Amir mentioned, this is one of the low cost investment products available, and everyone is going towards those products. Uh, A, because you get better returns, and B, you do not have to bear a huge amount of cost in order to own that exposure, right? So Mahana is one of the lowest expense ratios in the ETF category, which is less than 1%. And that is the main idea with which we launched a digital-only asset management company to keep our costs low and to benefit the investors. Um, Rebalancing and reallocation, I confirmed that the rebalancing is done every 3 months, and the reconstitution of the index is done every 6 months, which is based on the selection criteria, and that's given in the offering documents and on our website. To track the performance, Amir rightly mentioned that when you track the performance of the index or multiple ETFs, you have the benchmark index. You should ideally look at the broader index KC 100, KMI 30, and then you have the sub indexes for each ETF, right? You look at that, and you look compare the ETF. So the advantage is that with one brokerage account, the investor can actually just switch between any ETF that is not performing into an ETF that is performing, rather than having to open multiple accounts with different asset management companies and then moving the amount or the funds from one asset manager to another asset manager based on their performance. Another important thing, because this webinar is focused more on the RDA equity and Roshan equity accounts. Uh, a lot of expats, when we talk about global investing, so people who are based abroad, they definitely consider different asset classes. They could invest, let's say, based in based in UAE, they could invest into GCC equities as well, and in international equities. Then they have the Roshan equity option as well. So. Looking at one important factor is to look at the underlying valuation of each asset class. So, because of the relative performance, Pakistan has not performed, and the upside in terms of return on equity and the valuation, Pakistan is much more attractive when we compare to international markets. And when you are buying an asset, you always look at the discount that the asset is offering. So, in terms of that, the investors should definitely look into the Pakistani equities. And secondly, a lot of the experts have had concerns on the um, currency, let's say the rupee, because the rupee continued to depreciate in the last few years, and investors were not comfortable holding or converting their USD assets into rupees. But now the rupee has become quite stable, and in the longer run, I think the equities continue to outperform the rupee. The local equities have returned an annual return of, let's say, 18% on an annualized basis, whereas the dollar, if we compare it to the rupee, it has only returned about 8 to 9% on a longer run basis, excluding the periods of, short-term uncertainty or the volatility that came in, especially in the last few years. But on the longer run, the equities have outperformed. And I think we are in that phase again where the equity will continue to outperform the currency, so the investors can and be optimistic on the local equities and take an exposure through the Roshan equity accounts.
साहब आई हैव जस्ट वन, मैं उर्दू में बात करूंगा ताकि लोग ज्यादा समझें। आपने बहुत अच्छा समझाया। जब मैंने वेबिनार की देखे तो मैंने जब देखा कि महाना है, दैट मीन्स मंथली आप रिटर्न आदमी को मिलेगा और जो इन्वेस्टर को मिलेगा, जैसे ये सबसे अच्छी बात थी। आप और ये ओवरसीज पाकिस्तानी की हम बात कर रहे हैं जो कि 1 करोड़ बाहर मुल्क में रहते हैं, बहुत से लोग रिटायर्ड भी रहते हैं, बहुत से लोग ऐसा करते हैं कि हम इन्वेस्ट करें, हमें मंथली रिटर्न मिले तो हम बाहर खर्चा करें यूएस डॉलर में। तो जैसे आप, मैंने कहा 1 करोड़ में आपकी इस वक्त जो महाना के हिसाब से अगर आपने इतने अच्छे रिटर्न में देख रहा हूँ, क्या नाम है, जहांगीर सिद्दीकी के, नेशनल बैंक ऑफ पाकिस्तान के, तो इसमें अगर रिटर्न डालेंगे तो सच इतनी अच्छे रिटर्न मिल रहे हैं उनको इतने शॉर्ट अरसे में। तो ये मैं समझना चाहता हूँ, और मैं, ताकि मेरी डिस्कशन से लोगों को पता चले कि जब अगर सपोजिंग उसने $10,000 का महाना की चीज उसने खरीदी और गाइड करके खरीदी ईटीएफ उस पे, तो क्या उसको जो रिटर्न मिल रहा है वो, आपने कहा 3 महीने में कैलकुलेट होगा, तो क्या 3 महीने में कैलकुलेट होगा या मंथली कैलकुलेट होगा रिटर्न? ये मेरा क्वेश्चन है।
नहीं, जो रिटर्न की आपने बात की वो बिल्कुल ठीक है, और जो रीबैलेंसिंग ऑफ द पोर्टफोलियो होती है वो हम 3 महीने में करते हैं। तो जब भी स्टॉक्स की आप वेटेज एडजस्ट करते हैं ना, वो हम 3 महीने में करते हैं। बट इन्वेस्टर कैन एक्चुअली विड्रॉ एनी टाइम। आपकी जो रिटर्न है वो तो डेली कैलकुलेट हो रहा है। तो अगर आपने, किसी ने $10,000 की पोजीशन आज ली और मार्केट परफॉर्मेंस विद इन 1 मंथ 5% की हो गई, तो वो उनकी पोर्टफोलियो वैल्यू में रिफ्लेक्ट कर रहा होता है।
हाँ, तो अब ये देखें, एक तो हमने इन्वेस्टमेंट किया स्टॉक मार्केट में, हमें डिविडेंड मिल गया XYZ एट द एंड ऑफ द ईयर, या आपने क्वार्टरली डिविडेंड मिल गया। तो इसमें जो महाना का आपने लफ्ज इस्तेमाल किया, दैट मीन्स मंथली, ऐसा कोई ईटीएफ में सिस्टम नहीं है कि वो महीने में जो लोग होल्ड करते हैं वो इतना पैसा उनको दे दिया जाएगा। ये मैं समझने की बात करना चाहता हूँ।
ये एक्चुअली इक्विटी में थोड़ा सा मुश्किल हो जाता है, बिकॉज इक्विटी के जो वॉलेटाइल रिटर्न्स होते हैं तो वो हम गारंटी नहीं कर सकते, क्योंकि किसी मंथ में नेगेटिव रिटर्न भी हो सकता है, किसी मंथ में पॉजिटिव होता है। तो
नहीं,
वो
मैं इसमें
दैट इज वाई।
गारंटी की तो बात नहीं कर, मैंने कहा अगर सपोजिंग जैसे 90% रिटर्न आया है, एनआईटी में 71% रिटर्न आया है, तो ऐसा कोई तरीकेकार है कि आप उसमें से वो डिक्लेयर करें? तो वो अगर डिक्लेयर करेगा ना तो बहुत इंटरेस्ट होगा लोगों को। अब जैसे मैं आपको रोशन डील अकाउंट का बताता हूँ, उसका मेरा ख्याल 7% रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट है, 10% वो टैक्स ले लेते हैं, तो वो बहुत अच्छा है। क्वार्टरली ले लेते हैं लोग, उनको यहाँ बैठ करके वो पैसे मिल जाते हैं, वो बहुत अच्छा इन्वेस्टमेंट है। बहुत लोगों ने किया हुआ है कि वो रोशन डील की सर्टिफिकेट ले ली उसने, 3 महीने में उसको पैसा आ जा, यहाँ हमारी किचन चल रहा है। बहुत से लोग ऐसे हैं जो रिटायर्ड हैं। तो मैं उससे कंपैरिजन करना चाहता था, अगर आप उसको सेटिस्फाई करें कि कैसे वो ये काम कर सकता है आदमी। आपने महाना का लफ्ज इस्तेमाल किया, वरना अगर नहीं तो कोई फर्क तो नहीं है ना। फिर तो अगर नॉर्मली इवेलुएट होगा तो फिर अलग बात है, फिर तो इट्स ऑल द सेम। ये
इसको
मैं,
एक्चुअली महाना का जो पर्पस था ऑफ लॉन्चिंग महाना, इट वाज मोर टुवर्ड्स, महाना से मतलब लोग मंथली सेविंग का कॉन्सेप्ट हमने पाकिस्तान में प्रमोट करना
कंपनी
था।
नहीं।
और उसकी मेन रीजन वो था। बट अगर ऐसी किसी
अच्छा
प्रोडक्ट की
रिटर्न का
डिमांड आती है।
हमारा हर महीने वो ऐड हो जाएगा, लेकिन मैं
हाँ।
उनके लिए देखना चाह रहा हूँ कि देखिए रोशन डिजिटल अकाउंट हम 8 बिलियन से ऊपर चले गए, तो इसमें बहुत सी सर्टिफिकेट है जो लोग बेचारे यहाँ बैठे हैं, उनको 7 पर, कोई कोई कंट्री नहीं देता 7%, उनको 6% नेट हाथ में मिलता है। तो दे कैन रन देयर किचन, दे कैन यूज दैट मनी, दे कैन एंजॉय दैट मनी ऑन दैट अकाउंट, अपनी कमिटमेंट्स पूरी कर सकते हैं। ये फायदा है। मैं वो उसी लेवल पे इसको
इसमें
लाना चाहता था कि
इसमें
इसको कैसे
मुझे अगर
सेटिस्फाई हमारे ओवरसीज
इसमें
पार्टनर।
मुबशिर साहब अगर मुझे इजाज़त दें तो मैं ये करूँ।
जी जी।
बेसिकली जनरली जो ईटीएफ हैं, उनमें दो तरह की अर्निंग होती है स्टॉक से। एक है प्राइस एप्रिसिएशन और एक है डिविडेंड जो उनको मिला है। तो दोनों चीज़ें फंड के पास रोज के हिसाब से, मंथ के हिसाब से एक्युमुलेट हो रही हैं, और वो आपकी फंड की वैल्यू में रिफ्लेक्ट भी हो रही हैं। जनरली जो कॉन्सेप्ट है म्यूचुअल फंड इंडस्ट्री का, क्योंकि एक तरह से ये भी कलेक्टिव इन्वेस्टमेंट स्कीम है, तो एक साल में उस फंड ने जो कमाया है मोर और लेस 90% प्लस वो डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन के फॉर्म में देते हैं, गेन द टैक्स बेनिफिट। यानी अगर आपने 1,000 रुपए की इन्वेस्टमेंट की है और इस फंड ने आपको साल में 20% रिटर्न दिया है, यानी 200 रुपए दिए हैं, तो साल बाद 200 रुपए वो फंड मैनेजर आपको आपके अकाउंट में देगा, आइदर इन द फॉर्म ऑफ कैश या इन द फॉर्म ऑफ एक्स्ट्रा यूनिट्स। अब आप कह रहे हैं कि मैं उसको किसी तरह मंथली बेसिस पे लिक्विडेट करूं, तो उसका वर्क अराउंड सोल्यूशन यही है कि आपके पास मंथ में अगर वो वैल्यू 1,000 रुपए की थी, वो 1,000 से 120 हो गई, तो आप एक्स्ट्रा 20 रुपए वैल्यू बनाकर डिस्पोज ऑफ भी कर सकते हैं। जैसा मुबशिर साहब ने कहा, यहाँ इक्विटी के केस में ये प्रेडिक्ट करना बहुत मुश्किल है कि साल की अर्निंग कितनी होगी, तो उस हिसाब से मंथली बेसिस पे एक प्रोडक्ट बनाना जरा मुश्किल है। इवन आप म्यूचुअल फंड में भी देखें, तो म्यूचुअल फंड में जो मंथली प्रोडक्ट्स हैं वो मोर और लेस मनी मार्केट और फिक्स्ड इनकम साइड के ऊपर हैं। तो और या डिविडेंड बेस्ड स्टॉक्स हैं। तो अभी जैसे मैंने अपनी प्रेजेंटेशन में भी बताया, तो फंडामेंटल स्ट्रेटेजी बेस्ड डिविडेंड बेस्ड फंड कोई नहीं है। हाँ, अगर कोई डिविडेंड बेस्ड फंड बनता है, यानी या PSX डिविडेंड 20 के ऊपर कोई फंड बनता है, तो वहाँ ये चीज सोची जा सकती है कि वो स्टेबल कंपनियां हैं और उनका डिविडेंड जो है वो क्वार्टरली बेसिस के ऊपर आ रहा होता है।
बिल्कुल सही, आपने अच्छा समझाया आमिर साहब। और आप समझ गए जो मैं कहाँ तक पहुंचना चाह रहा था। तो देखिए, इसमें एक और चैलेंज आता है आमिर साहब, कि जब आपके पास ये ETF का फंड होता है, उसका बिकना भी आसान नहीं है, इतनी आसानी से नहीं बिकता है। तो ये भी एक चैलेंज होता है इन्वेस्टर को ETF का। अगर इस पे आप मुझे जवाब दें कि क्या मैं सही कह रहा हूँ कि आसानी होती है, नहीं आसानी कितनी। अगर हम सपोजिंग अपना स्टॉक मार्केट में तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं, मैं अभी आप बेच दें फौरन, लेकिन क्या ETF कितनी देर लगेगी? अगर हम कहेंगे आज मैं इतने यूनिट बेचूंगा और मुझे महीने का खर्चा निकल आए, कितनी देर में बिकेगा वो?
सर विद इन इंस्टेंट बिकेगा, जैसा मैंने आपको अपनी प्रेजेंटेशन में बताया कि हर ETF मार्केट मेकर के साथ लॉन्च हुआ है। मार्केट मेकर हमारे पास अवेलेबल है, जिसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है कि वो टाइम मार्केट में बिड एंड आस्क की कोट खड़ी रखे। अगर आप खरीदने आ रहे हैं तो आप खरीदेंगे तो आपको काउंटर ऑफर मार्केट में दे रहा है, आप बेचने आ रहे हैं तो भी आपको काउंटर ऑफर मार्केट दे रहा है। ठीक है। हाँ, इसमें आप ये एक चीज जरूर देख सकते हैं कि अगर आप बाय करते हैं सेल करते हैं, तो दोनों की प्राइसेस जैसे स्टॉक में फर्क होती हैं, तो वो थोड़ा स्प्रेड जरूर होता है। तो वो
जी
कॉस्ट आपने देखनी है कि वो किस तरह चल रही है, बट मार्केट मेकर अवेलेबल है, लिक्विडिटी आपकी ETF में अवेलेबल है। इवन मैं आपसे कहूंगा कि जनरली एक्टिव कंपनियां तो हैं, ये स्टॉक भी एक्टिव कंपनियों के ऊपर बना हुआ है, तो वो लिक्विडिटी जो अंडरलाइंग कंपनी की है वो तो है, साथ में मार्केट मेकर भी है, जो कि नॉर्मल लिस्टेड कंपनी के केस में मार्केट मेकर नहीं है। आपको नहीं पता कि कल यूनिलीवर के लिए कोई ट्रेड होगी भी या नहीं होगी, बेशक आपका ऑर्डर खड़ा है कि नहीं खड़ा, बट
सही
ETF
बात।
के केस में आप हमें कह सकते हैं कि मार्केट मेकर नहीं खड़ा और ऑब्लिगेशन है उसकी हमें बाइंड करना।
अभी साहब बहुत सारे शेयर ऐसे ही खड़े हैं आपके हाथ में। वो 526 में, वो जितनी कितनी बताया आपने, 500, उसमें कितने शेयर तो आपको खड़े हुए हैं। मैं आपको अभी बोलूंगा,
वो
कहूंगा
खड़े हैं,
बिकते ही नहीं है
बिल्कुल।
लेकर के लोगों के पैसे फंसे
हाँ,
हुए हैं। आप जाए ढूंढे। लेकिन इसमें जो मार्केट मेकर की जो बात की ना, तो मार्केट मेकर के पास ही मस्ट होल्ड मंथली ब्रीफिंग। मार्केट मेकर शुड हैव मंथली ब्रीफिंग एंड वॉल्यूम इन इसके, स्पेशली इस ट्रेड में। दिस मेरी सजेशन है, वो नहीं होती आपके। I feel it that there should be monthly briefing by market makers. So it give lot of confidence to the people immediately. देखिए, 14 ट्रिलियन पे आपका ETF है दुनिया में, विद इन 2008 से लेके गए। माशाल्लाह माशाल्लाह, व्हाट अ ग्रेट इन्वेस्टमेंट और आइडिया कनाडा ने निकाला। और फिर पाकिस्तान में हम 1 बिलियन में बैठे, हालांकि हमारा इन्वेस्टमेंट 35 बिलियन तक, माशाल्लाह वो भी अच्छा है। एटलीस्ट आप अबव $25 बिलियन हो गए। And I wish and pray that you go to 1 ट्रिलियन। हम पाकिस्तान भी को चाहती कि 1 ट्रिलियन ने हमारा 1 करोड़ लोग पैसे लगाएं स्टॉक मार्केट में, इंटरनेशनल एजेंसी आ जाए। तो वी वुड लाइक दैट लेवल ऑन दैट, एंड ETF शुड ग्रो। 1 बिलियन तो कुछ है नहीं अमाउंट अगर देखा जाए, लेकिन स्टिल आप लोग काम कर रहे हैं। हमारे पर 9 ETF है, हो सकता है इस पे काफी काम हो सकता है। बहुत पीस ऑफ माइंड है मेरे हिसाब से। तो मेरी टू रिक्वेस्ट ये है आमिर साहब के, इसमें आप मार्केट मेकर से कहें कि अपनी रिपोर्ट जारी करा करें इस इनके बारे में कि कितने उस पर कॉन्फिडेंस है, तो ये अच्छा हो जाएगा।
जस्ट टू
बिल्कुल
जस्ट
ये
टू ऐड टू दिस, जो फंड मैनेजर रिपोर्ट आती है एसेट मैनेजमेंट कंपनीज की, मंथली आती है फंड मैनेजर रिपोर्ट, उसमें ETF की भी रिपोर्ट होती है। सो जैसे अलमीजान का ETF है, एक्सचेंज ट्रेडेड फंड, उसकी रिपोर्ट अपनी उनकी फंड मैनेजर रिपोर्ट में पूरा 1 या 2 सफ़े जो हर म्यूचुअल फंड के होते हैं, इसी तरह ईटीएफ का भी एक पेज है जिसमें उसकी परफॉर्मेंस वो हाईलाइट करते हैं। तो सिमिलरली महाना का जो अपना ईटीएफ है, ये अपनी हर महीने फंड मैनेजर रिपोर्ट निकालेंगे या निकालते हैं, और ये अपनी वेबसाइट पे भी लगाते हैं। आपकी वेबसाइट पे मौजूद है मुबशिर?
नहीं, आई डोंट थिंक
देखिए
सो। आई डोंट, मैं सजेस्ट ये करूंगा एक्सचेंज। देखिए वो मैंने एक तो मार्केट मेकर की बात की, बट एक्सचेंज आई विल सजेस्ट फॉर द कॉन्फिडेंस ऑफ द ओवरसीज पाकिस्तान, एक्सचेंज ब्रीफिंग दे दे उसकी कि भाई ये पब्लिश कर दे रिपोर्ट। आप लाख मीजान से ले लें, आप एनबी नेशनल बैंक से ले लें, बट एक्सचेंज को जब आप देंगे तो बड़ा कॉन्फिडेंस होगा। मेरी राय है ये,
Fair enough. No,
just
that's
to
a good suggestion.
just to grow this 1 billion to 10 billion, and आपका जो 35 billion खड़ा हो जाके 1 trillion पे, we'll be very proud on
Right.
that account.
Perfect. Inshallah, we'll look at it. केस को हम किस तरह करें? It's a great suggestion. Thank you, sir. Can we take? Shall I read
एक
out the
question है,
questions?
please.
If okay, there's the first question. Minimum investment that is required for ETF. आप लोग के मुबशिर कितनी मिनिमम इन्वेस्टमेंट चाहिए होती है टू स्टार्ट इन्वेस्टिंग अमाउंट वाइज?
इट्स 500 शेयर्स का मिनिमम साइज होता है एंड इट्स अबाउट 11 रुपीस की प्राइस है, तो 5500 रुपीस से आप बाय कर सकते हैं।
Approximately
या
5,500 rupees. Okay. So that's the answer. What is the dividend distribution method used in ETF? I think you did explain that. ये हमने अपने सेशन में कवर कर लिया है. What is the minimum investment required to invest? अच्छा, this is the same question. Can you please simplify the actual process and how to buy, sell, and any tips that are provided on daily basis on which ETF are best to buy or sell? इस किस्म की तो इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं होती कि बेस्ट कौन से हैं, बिकॉज ये रिसर्च एनालिस्ट की रिपोर्ट्स में इस तरह की टिप्स होती हैं. हाउएवर, इफ यू वांट टू लुक एट द ईटीएफ्स और ईटीएफ के इंडिसेस, उसके लिए यू कैन गो टू द डेटा पोर्टल ऑफ द पाकिस्तान स्टॉक एक्सचेंज, where there is a page for each ETF and their performance is quite visible over there. Other than that, basic information के लिए there is a whole page on the Pakistan Stock Exchange website on exchange traded funds, which will brief you on the entire process in detail. Then there's another question.
Just to add to this, uh, even uh, even the returns might not be a true by parameter to decide which ETF would be the best, because uh, each have a different investment strategy. So in that case, I think investors' own risk appetite and other parameters do play a role. For instance, if you are near retirement and you want some stable investment, then there might be an HPL Total Treasury ETF, a fixed income ETF might be suitable to you rather than an equity ETF. Just as Saab mentioned, if you need a monthly basis return, then as of current portfolio often you need to we might not have a definite solution, but you have to create a workaround by selling on monthly basis. So I think each ETF have a different investment strategy that might uh, play a good role in particular investment time and might not be a good indicator in its timeline. So I think risk appetite of each investor is also an important element.
आमिर साहब, इट्स गुड, ये जो हम लोग डिस्कस किया, इससे रिजल्टेंट बहुत अच्छा हुआ कि अगर कोई भी ऑल द 9 आपके जो ETF हैं, इस पे सोचे कि हाउ वी कैन मेक ए सिस्टम वेयर वी कैन सेटिस्फाई द इन्वेस्टर एंड दे गेट ए मंथली रिटर्न और क्वार्टरली रिटर्न, कि वो ले जाए विदाउट सेलिंग द यूनिट्स, बिकॉज जहाँ सेलिंग परचेजिंग में आते हैं वो घबरा जाता है आदमी. तो वो एक अपॉर्चुनिटी है एंड फूड ऑफ थॉट है इसके बारे में कि how they can do such a product where one can do कि आपको जो इन्वेस्टर को ये पैसे मिल जाए विदाउट एनीथिंग उनके बैंक अकाउंट में चले जाए.
नहीं, ये बिल्कुल हो सकता है अगर प्रोवाइडेड इसकी नीड या डिमांड होती है तो
और डिमांड है, मैंने
ETF
कहा
कैन कंसिडर.
इसकी बहुत डिमांड है. ये जो
ETF
डिस्कशन थे
can
बहुत अच्छी
consider
चीज होती है ये.
quarterly
इट्स अ वेरी
payouts
गुड थिंग.
consider कर सकते हैं.
यू कैन डिस्कस विद ऑल योर 9 ETF के. मैं सकता है मैं मीजान बैंक से भी बात कर सकता हूँ, तो आप लोग बात करें, क्योंकि ये जो 14 बैंक हैं वो काम कर सकते हैं इस पे. इट्स अ बिग अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर ओवरसीज पाकिस्तानी. देखिए, बहुत से ओवरसीज पाकिस्तानी दे आर लुकिंग फॉर एटलीस्ट, अगर जहाँ 7 और 10% रेट ऑफ रिटर्न होता है, हर को वो चाहिए प्रोडक्ट. And they at least they will put their wealth, at least 20 to 30% of their wealth in it. So this is a very going to can be a good product for you. And Sharia compliant होगी तो और भी बहुत अच्छा.
Great. There's another question. Is the dividend reinvested automatically?
डिविडेंड है ही नहीं तो.
That's actually dividends are
Mm,
reinvested automatically.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dividends are reinvested.
So what is the average return of
Dividends,
ETF?
dividend of constituent companies, for instance, an ATRL is a part of an ETF. Any dividend received from ATRL will be reinvested based on the amount of dividend.
Acha, what is the average return of ETF in Pakistan? Do ETFs again issue or dividends, or is it just capital gain which we can only get? Average return of ETFs in Pakistan. Can
I
anybody
think
comment?
I have just showed a glimpse of what
Yeah.
वो स्लाइड
ETF
वापस
indices
लगा
are.
दीजिए. वो स्लाइड वापस लगा दीजिए. You can. That's a very good slide, I tell you. A very encouraging slide.
This is basically a slide of indices which ETFs are tracking. So as I just earlier mentioned that
This is the slide.
there might be.
This is the slide. This is the slide which really move everyone. Is so much profit they can have sitting home.
बट जैसा मैंने पहले भी एक्सप्लेन किया, ये इंडिसेस हैं जिनको ETF ट्रैक कर रहे हैं. यानी ये इंडिसेस का रिटर्न है, एक स्ट्रेटजी का रिटर्न है जो ETF फंड मैनेजर ने हमारे साथ बनाया है. ETF फंड मैनेजर कितना रिलीजियसली इस रिटर्न को ट्रैक कर रहे हैं, ये डिस्कशन मैंने इस स्लाइड में नहीं डाली. फॉर इंस्टेंस, अगर मैंने यहाँ लिखा है जेएस मोमेंटम फैक्टर ETF का एक साल में 113.3% का रिटर्न है, बट ये इंडेक्स का रिटर्न है जिसको जेएस मोमेंटम फैक्टर ETF ट्रैक कर रहा है. तो मे बी उसने कुछ अंडर परफॉर्म भी किया होगा. तो यही मैंने थोड़ा एक्सप्लेन करने की कोशिश की कि ये डिस्कशन फिर आपने फंड के साथ करनी है कि आप इस बेंचमार्क को ट्रैक कर रहे हैं, वो तो इतना परफॉर्मेंस दे रहा है, आप अंडर परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं. तो वो ETF फंड मैनेजर या वो ETF अच्छा ETF होता है जो अपने बेंचमार्क को इन सिंक लेकर चलता है. बट नेवरदलेस ये स्ट्रेटजीज की परफॉर्मेंस है वर्थ रिव्यूइंग.
Okay.
No, it's still at least give a बहुत अंडरस्टैंडिंग देता है. मीन्स क्वांटम आप देखें, आपको ज्यादा ज्यादा मैं कहूँ एक शेयर यूनाइटेड इंश्योरेंस 30 to 40% रिटर्न देता है. तो इसी तरह के बहुत से शेयर हैं इसमें तो माशाल्लाह वट एवर आप ले जाए ठीक ठाक रिटर्न आता है. इवन अगर यूनिट में भी है, आप यूनिट बेच दें, अपने बेच करके इनकैश कर लें. आई फील दैट वे. मैं तो एक बात खाली कह रहा हूँ कि डिविडेंड का पर्सन कैन सेल देयर यूनिट्स को मंथली बेसिस पे बेच करके आप पैसे ले सकते हैं. आई एम शोइंग वे टू द लिसनर कि वो सुन करके ये घबराए नहीं. वो दे कैन सेल देयर यूनिट्स मंथली बेसिस पे एंड देन हैव देयर मनी.
Exactly. और जितनी भी जरूरत है उस उतने यूनिट सेल करें. If you don't need all the money, you don't sell all. जितने यूनिट्स आपको डिविडेंड में भी या प्रॉफिट में मिले हैं, एडिशनल यूनिट में ऐड हुआ है,
वो
you
जो
could
बढ़
make a
गए हैं,
calculation.
जो बढ़ गए हैं, जो मैंने कहा मार्केट
can-
मेकर कैलकुलेट करके दे रहे हैं, जो बढ़ गए उससे 50% आप ड्रॉ कर लें, आपको पैसा.
Yeah.
मैं आई एम शोइंग वे टू देम बिफोर द प्रोडक्ट कैन कम हियर. इट्स अ वेरी ग्रेट थिंग. आई टेल यू, बहुत जबरदस्त वेबिनार हुआ हमारा ये, माशाल्लाह.
Okay, there's another question. Is there any website to track percentage of the underlying stocks of each ETF? जी, हमारा पाकिस्तान स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का डेटा पोर्टल है, उसके ऊपर ETF की इंडिपेंडेंट पेजेस बने हुए हैं और उस पे इंडिपेंडेंट इंडिसेस हैं उन पर्टिकुलर ETFs के. So you can track that from the data portal website. स्टॉक एक्सचेंज की कॉर्पोरेट वेबसाइट पे भी ETF का पेज है जिससे आप वहां जा भी सकते हैं to the data portal website. There's one more question. There's more. Okay. एक suggestion है कि thank you. It's very informative. We would like to have more such sessions with the stock exchange. Definitely, we're um, open to have more sessions, and this is the thing that Dr. Saab is make sure that we don't disappear for too long, and he knocks us every quarter के अभी next कब webinar है, date दीजिए जल्दी से और बताइए topic. So we'll in fact try to come back faster and quicker on these sessions. Acha, there's another question. I have a CDC account since before RDA, and now we're trying to link our CDC account to RDA. They're processing new account opening. We don't want to create new CDC account. Is there any way to connect old CDC account to the RDA? This is something you'll have to check with CDC, but to the best of my knowledge, ऐसा possible नहीं है
I
because
can answer that.
RDA के through जी.
I can answer. Has to open another CDC account on that.
Yeah.
You can't mix your portfolio in CDC. One which is already holding it, one through RDA. It has to be separate two account.
Can a non-national foreign nationality also open RDA account and invest in ETF? A non-national can open SCRA account, which is उसकी डिटेल्स हमारी पाकिस्तान स्टॉक एक्सचेंज की वेबसाइट पे है. एंड यस, थ्रू द SCRA यू कैन ऑप्ट टू इन्वेस्ट इन स्टॉक्स, ETFs and sukuks, all three. Through obviously that is a brokerage account, but it's called SCRA account.
Whole world can invest in it to us.
Yeah, anyone can do that. That's internationally available. Custodian banks होते हैं, Citibank है, Deutsche Bank है, ये सारे बैंक कस्टडी के सर्विसेज प्रोवाइड करते हैं आपकी ब्रोकरेज अकाउंट के ऊपर for the SCRA accounts. Again, about this presentation, this whole webinar will be put up on Pakistan Stock Exchange ka YouTube channel. We will take a few days, 2 to 3 days to edit it and finishing karke, and we'll upload it over there so you can revisit at any point in time. Other than that, there are other informative webinars of ETF already there on the PSX YouTube channel. You will get a lot of information on Pakistan Stock Exchange website, psx.com.pk, where you can read articles, you can look at basic investor information. You'll get information on what kind of tutorials. There are tutorials on RDA and Russian equity account opening. There are specific dedicated pages on ETFs as well as on Russian equity. So do take your time. Any information further you require, feel free to drop us an email at info@psx.com.pk. And we also offer WhatsApp facility on the PSX information portal. So you can utilize PSX WhatsApp services as well for any of your queries. Thank you very much. And thank you, everyone. Thanks, Mubashir, Amir, Dr. Saab. Thank you for being the main driving force and leading us to these kind of sessions.
No,
we will inshallah keep continuing.
Madam Raida, I remember that we did in 22 with you. I remember you that time. You were very nicely doing. We will continue to do quarterly. Reason ये है कि आप अगर कंटिन्यू करती हैं तो मार्केट में चीज रहती है, लोग एक्सपेक्टेशन करते हैं और वो ग्रो हो जाती है. जिसने भी सवाल किया था बहुत अच्छा सवाल किया था कि आप भूल नहीं जाएं, लेकिन अगर हम कंटिन्यू करके उनको प्रोग्रेस बताते रहें, जैसे प्रोग्रेस बताई आमिर साहब की बहुत कंप्रीहेंसिव प्रेजेंटेशन है. मुझे तो बहुत नॉलेज मिली इनकी उस डिटेल के कैनडाइजेशन, मुझे नहीं पता था ये. थैंक यू वेरी मच आमिर साहब फॉर such a good information to me and such a knowledgeable, and comparing with S&P and everything, I relate to that and it gives a lot of confidence, and we are happy कि पाकिस्तान भी शामिल है इसमें, है ना. We will all take it to grow this to the highest level with मैं एक और आपसे शेयर करते चलूं, मैंने शमशाद बेगम साहबा को खत लिखा हुआ है, इस पे प्राइम मिनिस्टर को खत लिखा हुआ है कि ये जो हमारे स्टेट ओन कंपनीज हैं, इसके शेयर ओवरसीज पाकिस्तानीज को ऑफर कर दें 10%, 20%। ये जो वहां पड़ी हुई हैं, तो पाकिस्तानी ओवरसीज पाकिस्तानी वो इन्वेस्ट कर देंगे इसमें। तो आई होप पाकिस्तान बिजनेस प्रोफेशनल काउंसिल की ये बात सुन ली जाए तो पूरी चेंज हो जाएगी कि हमें इतना रिटर्न नहीं चाहिए, हम मोहब्बत में करना चाहते हैं। ये जो 1 करोड़ लोग हैं वो सब मोहब्बत करते हैं पाकिस्तान से बाहर बैठ के, वो पाकिस्तान में रहना चाहते हैं। ऑनेस्ट टू गॉड से वी वांट टू लिव इन पाकिस्तान, बट इंशाल्लाह वी विल लिव इन देयर। लेकिन ये भी मैं आपके इस तवज्जुह से मैं कहना चाहता हूँ कि जितने स्टेट ओनर ने SIFC जो बनाया, हमें भी 10%, 20% स्टेट ओन में दे दें या 100% दे दें। बहुत से ओवरसीज पाकिस्तान इसमें खरीदेंगे और इसका उनको ही फायदा होगा। जैसे देखें, अभी बैंक प्राइवेटाइज हुआ, प्रॉफिट गवर्नमेंट को मिल रहा है, UBL प्रॉफिट गवर्नमेंट को मिल रहा है, टेलीफोन कंपनी प्रॉफिट गवर्नमेंट को मिल रहा है। तो इसी तरह ये सब बहुत अच्छी चीज होगी। चाइना इसी तरह डेवलप हुआ है, एंड पाकिस्तान भी इंशाल्लाह आई एम लुकिंग फॉर टू डू दैट। थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर इनवाइटिंग मी।
इंशाल्लाह। थैंक यू वेरी मच। ओके जी,
Sure.
अल्लाह हाफिज
थैंक
Thank
यू
you.
सर,
एवरीवन।
थैंक
Thank you.
यू
Allah
थैंक
Hafiz.
यू।
Hafiz. Thank you.
थैंक यू
Thank
सो
you.
मच, इट वाज ग्रेट वेबिनार।